On the far eastern end of Sunset Boulevard, hidden from prying eyes by the ivy-covered cliffs made by the railroad in the 19th century, sits one of the most notorious bars in Los Angeles, the Shortstop. Some material may not be suitable for all viewers. A Dodgers bar on game day and a dance party at night. The recent history of the Shortstop is well documented. In 2001, it was taken over by a consortium of entertainers led by the Afghan Whigs Greg Dully, but before that, it had been a cop bar, made infamous by Rafael Perez, the corrupt officer at the center of the Rampart scandal. Later implicated in the assassination of Biggie Smalls, during his court appearance, Perez had testified,
It hurts me to say it, but there's a lot of crooked stuff going on with LAPD. You go to the Shortstop and you hear, and we talk about how things went down, how they really went down, and how they were fixed up.
It's no surprise then that a stool at the far end of the bar is known as the captain's chair for Captain Mark Furman, accused of tampering with evidence during the trial of O.J. Simpson. These stories of LAPD corruption centered at the Shortstop have caused some to question the official account of the shooting of Carl Blackwell in 1983. It was early one Saturday morning in January of 1983 when Carl Blackwell, 32, of Compton, allegedly tried to rob the Shortstop bar with a large comb wrapped in a towel to simulate a gun. But Officer Burris of the LAPD, off-duty and seated at the bar, had a real gun, and he shot Blackwell 4 times. Blackwell stumbled outside, dying on the sidewalk in front of the apartment building next door. But this wasn't the first time blood was spilled at the Shortstop, and the history of the building turns out to be as dark as it is inside. The Shortstop and the apartment building next door were built in 1925 by a Polish haberdasher turned rancher and his partner to form a business block. The building that houses the Shortstop was originally 3 separate storefronts: a grocery, a confectionery, and in the corner space, welcoming travelers from downtown, was Bischoff's Fur and Taxidermy. Still in business today, providing taxidermy props for television and the movies, Bischoff's first made the papers in 1929 when an all-girl gang tried to steal a fur coat. Later, at a location further down Sunset Boulevard, Bischoff would stuff his most famous client, Roy Rogers' horse, Trigger. Bischoff's had become Ruby's doll hospital by the time this fellow crashed through the front door. And in 1952, it was a Westinghouse laundromat offering the use of the washer of Tomorrow Today, when next door, William Burton would try to kill his wife. At the time, the center space in the Shortstop was a bar, the Shack Inn, owned and operated by Ann Burton, age 51. Domestic difficulties culminated in violence yesterday, read the LA Times, when William Burton entered the tavern operated by his wife, Anne, armed with a hunting knife and an air pistol. The Los Angeles Herald-Express was less reserved and more graphic. He then launched a running attack on his wife, stabbing her in the throat and side as she ran for a rear door. As she tried to climb a fence out of the small alleyway there, Burton continued stabbing her, and then slashed his own throat, falling dead across his wife. There are no further reports on the fate of Ann Burton in the Times or the Herald in the weeks afterwards. But as the Shack Inn was still in business in 1956, she is believed to have survived the horrific events of that evening. In the end, after groceries, candy, furs and taxidermy, dolls and clean laundry, corrupt cops, fur snatchers, bad drivers, and a Polish haberdasher, there are only cocktails, wine, and beer, and the memory of the people who have huddled together inside the darkness of the Black Building on a corner of Sunset Boulevard in Echo Park.